Okay, hello y'all. First off, I just want to start off by saying I'm not ignoring anybody calls or texts. I haven't had a phone since last week Saturday, so um, like I said, I'll reach out to everybody who's been trying to get in touch with me um, within the next day or so. But I just want to share, my testimony and pretty much what ended up happening as far as my accident. So I won't have to keep explaining myself, 1,000 times because it is a lot of people that's been reaching out to me, to kind of find out what's going on, what's up. And just to keep from repeating myself over and over, I'm just going to make this video. So I'm going to make it kind of quick. Um, well, I decided last minute on last week to take my kids on a vacation for the weekend. And let me rewind back a little bit. A week and a half before this, before I even decided to take them anywhere, I had a dream. And in the dream, I asked my dad, to hold his truck. And of course, he said, yeah. And so in the dream, it was just me, him, and Chloe. And so I strapped Chloe down in the back seat of his truck on the driver's side in her seat. And I got in on the passenger side in the front. Now, mind you, I don't know why I got inside the front on the passenger side because I was supposed to be driving. But anyway, I got inside on the passenger side, and as soon as I closed the door, the truck took off. Mind you, it was no driver. It was just me on the passenger side and Chloe in the back. And so it took off real fast, and it was going around and around the yard as if it was trying to kill us. And so me with my quick thinking, I reached in the back where Chloe was, and I unbuckled her seatbelt, and I grabbed her, and I pulled her where I was, and we jumped out of the truck. And that's when I woke up. And so I got up, and for about an hour I Googled, my dream to try to find out what it meant. And I could not find out what it meant, so I just kind of, left it alone. So basically, after all the stuff that happened, I know now what it was. My dream was preparing me for what was to come. This last Saturday when we had the accident, it was telling me that I would be able to, save a life. And so, rewind to the weekend. So we left, got on the road, got there safely. I ended up taking them to the zoo, where we went, and we went to the Greenville Zoo, and I ended up taking them to the zoo. We had an excellent time. We did a lot of shopping. We went to the malls. We did some other stuff. And we weren't ready to go back to our room that afternoon, so I decided to Google some stuff with some water because, of course, the kids love water, and they wanted to go near water. Now, the reason I booked where I went in my room was because it had a pool, but of course, when we got there, the pool and stuff was closed, and they didn't tell us anything about, the pools and stuff was shut down in the hotel. So that was disappointing. So I had to find them some water. And so I Googled some places, and of course, Greenville has some water parks, some waterfall parks, pretty waterfalls in the park. So of course, we headed to one of those. And when we got to the park, we did our normal routine, whatever, walk in the park, taking lots of pictures, just having a good time. And so when we got to the bridge part, we saw this area where it was waterfall area, and then it had beautiful scenery, rocks in the water and stuff trickling down. And then I saw this older lady and a little baby sitting down at the bottom. And the little baby was by herself at the edge, and she was just taking her hand and swiping in the water. And me and the kids stood up there for about, I'd say 2 or 3 minutes, and watched the little baby just play in the water because we just thought it was cute. She was down and just playing in the water. And so we made our way on down to that location where there was. And so we got on down to that part, and the kids were like, I want to touch the water, Mom. I was like, y'all not going to get in that water. I said, but y'all can, take your shoes off, and y'all can tap your feet in the water, put your foot in the water. And so Shahar was standing next to me, and I was like, Shahar, you not going to put your foot in the water? And she was real hesitant. I really don't know why she was hesitant, but she was hesitant. She just stood there. I was like, Shahar, you not going to put your foot in the water? And she was like, she just stood there. And so I just kind of left her alone for a second. And so Marcus had made his way to take his shoes off. And I had just sat down on the rock on the ground. Now that's unnormal for me because I don't sit on the ground. I don't like sitting on the ground and stuff. And so I did. I sat on the ground and I was recording on my phone. You know, them getting ready to stick their foot in the water, you know, have a good time and record the scenery because it was beautiful. And so as soon as he took his shoes off and he stepped towards, you know, the edge, the ground part right there was wet, so he slipped. And when he slipped, he slid right there onto the edge of the water. And the current, y'all, the current in that water was so strong. The current snatched him into the water and took him out. And all I could see was him calling out mama and reaching out his hands. So immediately I jumped up. Now let me rewind back a couple of months ago. We went on vacation in Atlanta, and Carmen almost had an accident where she almost drowned. And in that moment, I froze up. I was in shock. I couldn't move. You know how you watch movies, you be like, how she stood there and watch her baby die? Watch her baby drown and she ain't try to jump in. When I tell you, when Carmen was drowning, all I could see was her going bloop bloop going down, and I was frozen. I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything. And you know, it was nobody but God then that sent his little angel. It was a little girl that was in the pool that was swimming with them early that hadn't still been in there. And she knew how to swim. So she swam to Carmen and she brought her up. And we got out of that situation. And so fast forward back to our vacation, the water snatched Marcus. Now mind you, I can't swim. I'm pregnant. I don't know how to hold my breath, and I'm scared of water. Like, I don't get in water because I can't swim. But my kids know how to swim. So once I got in, I was sitting there recording, and once it snatched him and I saw him reach out for me, I immediately jumped up, and I knew that was nobody but God, because before in a situation like this, I was frozen. I couldn't move. I was in shock. So I immediately jumped up, and all I knew was to jump in the water to try to save my baby. So I jumped in the water, and apparently when I jumped in the water, you know, I hit the rocks, and that's how I ended up swelling my body up, and my neck and stuff messed up, and I'm cut up. But thank God I'm here. But anyway, I jumped in the water, and as soon as I jumped in, the current snatched me and took me out in the middle. And at that point, I just knew I was dead, but I was at least going to try to save my baby's life. So as I was trying to fight the current, and y'all, when I tell you I fought that water to try to save my baby's life. So I was fighting the current, and as I was fighting the current, and the current was just snatching me, my foot got wedged up under a rock in the water. So me quick thinking, I just kind of kept my foot there and just kind of, you know, not let myself slip. So I kind of wedged my foot under a little further under the rock. I'm scared in the water. I don't know what's in the water. I'm just scared. So I finally fought the water, the current, and Marcus was fighting his way to me to try to reach me. And so I finally grabbed a hold of his shirt and I pulled him to me. By the time I got Marcus to me, I heard, Mama! And next thing I know, it was Carmen. The current was taking her the other direction. Carmen had jumped in because she said she wanted to try to save me because she knew I couldn't swim. So, y'all, you cannot fight current. I don't care how much you know how to swim. You cannot fight current. And that was the most powerful current ever. Like, when I tell you, felt like I was in a whirlwind, I knew it was nobody but the Lord that kept me afloat above that water to be able to even attempt to save my kids' lives. So when I grabbed my Marcus, I had him. I didn't let him go, and I finally made it, you know, fighting the water to get to Carmen, and she made it to me, so I held him there. Now, mind you, when we got down to her, like I said, it was just that older lady and her little, I guess it was her grandbaby, a little baby about 1 or 2 years old. The baby was just playing at the water, so I assumed it was her grandbaby. But it was just us, my kids, me, and her little grandbaby. When I tell you, we were screaming for help after I held them, I had them in my grip, and I had to try to keep them calm so they wouldn't move too much, and, you know, we ended up slipping again. So I kept my foot wedged under that rock, and we was all scared. They was crying and stuff, and I saw this white lady. She was coming towards the water, so she decided to step in real easy. And before I knew it, she had a line of it was some other white people behind her. I don't know. All of those white people were my angels. God sent them to me specifically because nobody was there in that area where we was when we got down there. And within minutes, it was a whole line of them lined up behind that lady. She held her hand out and she held her other hand behind her, and they created a long chain, and that's how they was able to start pulling us out the water. So they pulled Carmen out at first, and I told her to go ahead. I was fine. And so Marcus did not want to let me go, so I had to kind of take a few minutes and tell him, Marcus, I'll be all right. Go ahead, let them get you out the water. But he did not want to let me go. So finally, I was able to calm him enough where he was able to grab the lady hand and she pulled him out. Now me on the other hand, once I let Marcus go, I started slipping again, slipping away again, because I had on shoes that had on rubber soles. And so as the lady was telling me to grab my hand, I was telling her, look, I gotta try to take my shoes off because I can't get, if I move, I'm gonna slip and it's gonna take me. And so I took a few minutes easing my shoes off in the water, getting my shoes off, and I threw them. And so at this point, I kept my foot wedged on the rock as tight as I could, but I reached my body out as fast as I could. And she ended up pulling me out, and that's how we were able to get out the water. So I am so grateful for our lives. Y'all, be careful around water. No matter whether it looks safe, because just in an instant, like my son did, he slipped. He took his shoes off. All he did was walk forward, and he slipped because the rocks part where we were standing was wet, and he slipped. As soon as he slipped and hit the water at the edge, the current took him on in. And I told you that's the most scariest moment of my life. It is. But that is the best feeling ever I have never had a feeling so great to be able to save my kids' lives. Not one, not two, but three of my kids' lives. The baby I'm getting ready to have, Marcus and Carmen, to be able to save all three of my kids' lives in an instance like that, when I knew I couldn't swim, when I knew I couldn't hold my breath, and I knew it was nobody but God that kept me afloat above that water to be able to even reach out and fight for my kids. So we just so grateful to be here. Yes, y'all, I'm beat up and banged up, but I tell you one thing, I would do it all over again to save my child's life. I would do it all over again. I would jump in whatever kind of water to try to save my life, my kids' lives. Y'all, y'all just don't know. I cried and cried and cried. And after all this happened, we got the water, we sat. I ended up using the lady's phone to call my mom and let her know what was going on. But at this point I had no phone, because when I was sitting recording, apparently I jumped in with my phone and everything else, so I lost everything. And so once we ended up leaving, the kids helped me make it back to the car. And so when I made it to the car, I was in the car crying and praying. I was like, Lord, we lost, we don't know where to go. I was using my phone for GPS to get around, because of course I know nothing about where I was at. So that's how I ended up finding the park. And so I was like, Lord, just please help me and the kids, direct us somewhere safe where we'll, be able to be safe. And so we won't be lost. And so I got in my car and we just started driving, and we were driving around, and I just started making turns in, because when you're making turns in, you're gonna kind of end up back in the center, and you won't, go out past where you actually are. So I kind of learned that just in driving anywhere you're making turns inside, you'll end up kind of back in the middle. So anyway, I kind of went, when we left out of the park, I went back the direction we came, and that's how I ended up making left turns and right turns, and kind of, just trying to figure out where in the area looked safe. And so I cried, and we cried, going down the road, just thanking God, and still asking him to help us to get somewhere safe. So early on the way there, we had passed a correctional facility, and the kid was like, Mom, look. I was like, they was like, is that the jailhouse? I was like, yeah, that's the jailhouse. That's the correctional facility. So we just kind of left it at that. But as we were driving, I was still within about 10, 15 minutes of our drive, just driving around trying to find out where to go. I made that left turn, and when I made the left turn, not paying attention to where I was going, I was just crying and trying to figure out where to go. My kids was like, Mama, look. And when I looked at the sign, I looked to the right, and the sign said, Greenville Correctional Facility or whatever. And so I stopped right there at that moment, and we cried and cried and cried. And I was just thanking God, how he had, we had been lost, and I asked him to send us somewhere safe, and he ended up sending us to the correctional facility. So, I made my way inside, and the lady and the guy sent me in to the other side, and I made a report with the lady, and I asked, could I have an officer dispatch us, that dispatched to us, and take us 2 hours back to our hotel room because I was lost and I didn't know where I was at. So, of course, the officer did that, and we got back to my room. And of course, I ended up going to the hospital and stuff later that night. And checks out, baby was fine. But I'm just beat up and banged up. But like I said, y'all, I do it all over again to save any of my kids' lives. But that's what took place this weekend. And so, that's what happened, and I'm just so grateful. So if y'all can give me a day or so to kind of get back to y'all with responses and, you know, answering calls and stuff, then I would definitely appreciate that. But I am resting, trying to get myself back together as quickly as I can. Like I said, y'all, that was my testimony. We just so grateful to be here, to be living, for me to be able to tell y'all about it. Y'all, that water was the scariest. That situation was the most scariest situation I've had in my life. Now, I've had some other situations that were scarier, that were scary, but nothing to top this because it involved my kids. And y'all know how I feel about my kids. My kids are my everything. My kids are my everything. I'll do anything for them. I'll give my life for my kids. So y'all already know this, y'all. Anybody that knows me knows my kids are my number one priority. They're my top priority. Nothing, no one comes before them, and nobody but the good Lord. And just to be able to have all my kids here with me again, we get to wake up and see each other smile. Like I said, I lost everything, my phone and some other stuff, but to be able to have a life, breath in my body to even talk about it, that can't be replaced. Now, all the stuff I lost can be replaced, but I got a new phone. So like I said, give me a day or two or so to reach out to everybody, and, you know, I'll get back to everybody then. But I just want to reach out and let everybody know kind of what happened, so I don't have to keep repeating myself over and over again. So yeah, y'all, just we have really been under attack. I have been under attack for like the last year and some change, badly. The devil has been trying to take me out so many times, and I'll get into that, you know, a little later in another video, sharing my testimony on those. But the devil's been trying to take me out for months, and now that he knows it's hard to take me out because I'm strong, it's hard to take me out. So now he's after my kids. So we're under attack. So now I'm just asking, you know, all my prayer warriors, y'all, lift us up right now in prayer. Help to keep us covered, you know, like I said, because we are under attack. And as long as I'm under attack, I'm going to keep fighting. I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to give the devil what he wants. What he wants is me and my children, and he is not going to get it. So as long as I got breath in my body, I'm going to fight. I'm going to do whatever it takes to protect me and mine. And yeah, y'all. So just keep us lifted in your prayer. I love y'all, and I'll talk to y'all later.